regular Planning and Zoning and Variance Commission meeting, March 11th, 2025. Please stand for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Moderano. Armijo. Here. Spain.
Yes, sir.
Rullo.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Leone.
Yes. Public comments? None? Approval of minutes from January 14, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Did you guys get to read them? If there's any omissions or corrections, I'm open for a motion.
I'll move we approve them.
Make a motion?
Yeah, I made a motion.
Motion, Mr. Norris, second.
I'll second.
Second by John. Roll call.
Armijo. Yes. Spain.
Yes, sir.
Rullo.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Leone.
Yes. Old business, none. Public hearing. So what you got on your paper tonight is Duran Ventures was first, but they did not get enough paperwork according to staff.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask that we table this to the April 8th, 2025 regular meeting at 5:30.
On what day?
Tuesday. The next
The
regular
next
meeting.
month. Okay.
Next month's regular meeting. We had one issue with one of the plats, the Zamor's Canyon plat, just to get that right. So it took a little bit longer. We couldn't get it done. So I did start the public noticing process already. So I appreciate if we could table that and to next month's or
So
to next
motion
month's
to
regular
table that?
meeting.
Yeah, I'll move we table it.
Motion by Mr. Norris, second.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Roll. Roll call.
Armijo. Yes. Spain.
Yes, sir.
Rullo.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Leone.
Yes. Okay, moving on. Public hearing, Maverick Incorporated, 2024 Annexation 01. Matt Ryder, on behalf of Maverick Incorporated, request for a major impact review for the purchase of annexation, rezone, and final plat at the property described. A parcel of land located in the northeast quarter of the Section 30, Township 32, South, Range 63 West. 6, Principal Meridian, Trinidad City, Los Angeles, Colorado, known as 16420 County Road 71.1, for a total of 18.81 acres. Staff.
So this is brought on. This is Maverick Inc. This annexation's a little different because the Maverick already has a special use permit approved by Los Angeles County. So it's being constructed. I'm sure everybody knows they've been passed up to exit 18, but we're in the process of annexing it. So I'll go through annexations. Little different. There's not a ton of specifics that we're looking for other than just a recommendation to City Council. I'll go through just the basics of the annexation and we'll touch on anything else. But there are 3 property owners in the annexation area: Maverick, which is 4.76 acres, CDOT, which is 13.99 acres, and Warren and Patricia McDonald, which is 0.06 acres. Per Colorado's revised statute, CDOT declines to be a signature on petitions and for annexations, but they just asked to be informed and kept in the loop on these projects, as well as and everything's been very positive with CDOT. So they just declined to be a signatory on it. Mr. McDonald was not a signatory on the annexation petition, but as a minority property owner, his signature is not required, and he's indicated that he'll sign the annexation and rezone plats. So that'll help keep things clean that way on the plats.
So, question,
Yes.
So he doesn't want to come in?
He is part of the annexation. He just didn't sign the annexation petition.
Oh, okay.
But it's not necessary for him to sign because he's a minority owner.
Okay.
Yeah. So he is definitely okay with the, he was actually not, he didn't
So
know
if
he was
ever wants to
actually,
come in, he's gonna be able to tap on utility lines and,
so his 0.06 acres will be eligible right now. And he owns 200 acres to the west of this project.
right.
If he hasn't done anything with the city, but he knows that he has some eligibility now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. The annexation has the required, or does meet the required 1/6 contiguity. The annexation includes I-25 or Interstate 25 right-of-way, County Road 32.4 right-of-way from I-25 exit to the County Road 71-1 intersection, including the intersection, and the portion of County Road 71-1 in front of the Mavericks frontage. All the right-of-ways are owned by CDOT, and they'll maintain ownership. The only exception being, and I found this out this morning, is the frontage across 71-1, or County Road 71-1, will have to be maintained by the city. That section
So that would be the one in front of the building?
in front of the building itself, yes, sir. The submitted annexation plat has been reviewed and is in compliance. And we talked about this a little bit. The city executed a pre-annexation agreement in May of 2024 with the applicant. As part of that, the city said we will, well, let me see. Yeah, we'll serve the development with city water, gas, and sewer. And in the agreement, Maverick committed to petition for annexation when becoming eligible. So with this, they became eligible with our last annexation we did across the highway there for the Loves. The city approved all water, gas, and sewer main extensions when we did the pre-annexation agreement. And as I said earlier, they've already received their building plan, site plan approvals from Los Angeles County. We both adopted the same building code, the 2008 building code, and we use the same third-party reviewer actually. So a lot of similarities in the building itself, which is very encouraging. The only thing of note that kind of came of the concept review last week was they asked about the sign. And the sign is 70 foot tall, which is over the 55-foot tall maximum per the code. When we annex this property, we'll just have to call it non-conforming because it already has its approvals. The city didn't have any regulation, didn't have any right to say that you're not meeting our sign code, so we'll just have to accept it as a non-conforming. That's it for annexation. For the rezone, the site is currently zoned Ranchette, Los Angeles County. They're requesting a zoning of community commercial. The area to the east that we have contiguity with is zoned community commercial within the Trinidad city limits. And the use of a gas station is approved use for community commercial. Maverick provides no storage on site and does not expect snow removal from the city on the property. Some of the rezoning criteria: the lot was previously vacant, so any development that we could get on that type of activate a vacant property and is in the county, it's very, very good. It's encouraging actually. The project located near an identified employment opportunity area. The surrounding area is zoned community, commercial, industrial. There should not be any adverse impacts from the use. The project has received its CDOT approval for access. And there are some upgrades to the roads in their plans. That includes a concrete County Road 71-1 in front of their frontage. So that's what actually the city will be taking care of maintenance of. It being concrete is very, very nice. I'm very happy about that one. And for the utilities, like I said, in the pre-annexation agreement, the city committed to serving the development with water, gas, and sewer.
Electricity is San Isabel?
Electricity San Isabel. With this, the commission recommended findings of the application is consistent with land use code for annexation and rezone. Everything's been met, and staff recommends approval, or recommending approval to city council for the major impact review for annexation and rezone. I think online is a representative of Maverick. Unfortunately, Matt had an issue. He was supposed to be here in person. He had a couple of issues, I guess. So, Tom, is it right? Tom, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Tom.
Yes, I'm online. I'm here representing this for Maverick in place of Matt.
Yeah.
He apologized as he wasn't able to make it in person.
So, before we get in, do we have any staff recommendations?
No, just recommended approval of annexation and rezone. With their building permit being approved already through Los Angeles County, there's not a ton of other areas that they're asking for variances or anything like that, so.
Can you explain the sign thing to me?
So I'll open the hearing.
Yeah, so with it being non-conforming, or it just be non-conforming, meaning it doesn't meet our code,
Why
but,
does it have to meet our code?
what was that?
Why does it not have to meet our code?
Because when they got their approvals through CDOT and Los Angeles County, they didn't have to meet our code.
But to be annexed in, shouldn't they have to meet our code?
We could recommend that. We could. That's all right.
I mean, I feel like we're gonna make everybody else go through it, all the process. I don't understand why this, and I'm not opposed to this, by the way, but I don't understand why they wouldn't have to go through the process.
The only reason they don't have to go through the process is when they went through the process, they've already been through a building permit process. They went through,
The county.
but they had to go through Los Angeles County.
The county's not the city.
No, it's not. So all their approvals are through Los Angeles County and as well as CDOT. And they didn't, there's no sign maximum height, and I don't think they got a variance for it. So there's no sign maximum height in Los Angeles County, so they didn't have to.
So they could build a sign as tall as they want?
I don't know Los Angeles County's sign.
What is the height
Shouldn't
of
we
their
know
sign?
that?
What's that?
What is the height of their sign?
Their height is 70,
And what is our max?
55.
How high is the sign at Love's gonna be?
We approved 75.
What is the actual?
That's because they're down.
How do I ask this question? So, these guys are down on a hole, they're 70 feet, these guys are up on a hill and they're 50 feet. How much higher is their sign gonna be than Love's?
I really don't know.
I feel like we should know these things.
Is that right? Okay.
I really do, because every other business that comes into the city wants to put a sign up,
Mhm.
they have to be scrutinized by what we do.
Yes, that's correct.
So I feel like not knowing and not having any idea, they can do whatever they want at this point. They can put a 100-foot sign up, right?
No, I don't know what the Los Angeles County code is, so I'd have to look at that. I don't know off the top of my head.
But you just said it's 75 feet?
Their sign is proposed for 70 feet.
70 feet.
Yes.
And our ordinance is 55.
55. Yeah, we could give a variance. We like I said for Love's, we give a variance up to 75 feet.
But that's because they were in a hole.
Right.
Yeah, they're down in a hole.
Because
Yeah,
they
I
showed
understand
us,
that.
they showed us a visual. that-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question on the sign as well. At the point that we haven't had any input on it, does that mean that it's gonna have like a neon Vegas sign that's gonna be doing strobes and all kinds of other good stuff? I mean,
No, I think it is a pretty typical Maverick sign.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing extravagant about it, other than it is
that's
taller
pretty
than.
important.
No, it is. I mean, we don't have to annex this. If we don't have, we could recommend that they come into conformity, but it's, even then, I can't stop them from getting a CO. Okay, they can get a certificate of occupancy without my input.
Right.
So that's where it becomes difficult, because.
Could we make a recommendation for approval with the requirement that their
Stipulation.
sign is in compliance with our code?
We can. What we do, we're going to give a recommendation to city council. So city council has to feel the same way. But we can do that if that's the way everybody wants to go about it. That's totally fine.
Well, I feel like we've gone through a lot of work to put these rules together. I mean, it's been a couple of good years that we've been working on our standards now and our code. Why would we go through that if we're just gonna throw it out the window every chance we get? I mean, we could have stuck with the old one and done this.
What's that?
Fisher's Peak is a far better visual than a Maverick sign. So
Okay.
I'm just saying, so,
Okay, I open the hearing. We'll go through the hearing, we'll listen to the Maverick representative. And after that, we can check with staff and we could put stipulations according to what you guys want to put. But let's hear the Maverick representation first. Okay, whoever is representing Maverick, you can come forward and give us some info.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for that. So I apologize I'm not there in person. Thank you for the presentation. I thought you covered all of the requirements and all of the regulations and items on this annexation plat. I honestly, I don't really have a whole lot to add, other than, you know, if there are some issues with the height of the signage. We contract with YESCO, who's one of the major sign companies in the country, and they do an analysis that determines the height of a sign that's needed from going upstream and downstream to try and get the most visibility, obviously. I would need to get with them to determine if 70 feet is required for visibility of our sign. Like you mentioned, we are up quite a bit higher. We're higher than the interstate.
Right.
Without speaking to them, I don't know if 70 feet is required for that visibility or not, but it's definitely something that we can look at. We don't want to push the boundaries. We don't want to break the envelope or go against code at all if we don't have to. So that's definitely something that we could look at if that's needed. We would get with YESCO and have them do their site distance exhibits and determine that. I obviously think they're going to come back and say, well, yeah, the higher the sign, the better the visibility, but that's not saying it's something that has to be required to get that height on the sign. But I think everything else was covered really well, and I don't have anything else to add unless you have any questions for me.
Mr. Norris? Question?
I don't have questions, no.
Ms. Roll? John?
Nope,
Yeah,
I got my questions answered.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe the same, I got my questions answered.
I don't have no questions. So staff, do we
My concern
approve or disapprove this with the recommendation that you look into the height of the signs?
Yes.
And I'd look into see if the county
Yeah,
has one also?
I could definitely do that. I could look into the
And
county's
then-
code and,
I would
but
put some-
my main concern here is we might be stepping out of our jurisdiction.
Well, that's why I say just check with staff.
Yeah, if we don't want to it might be one of those where it's either we could accept it as non-conforming or we don't accept it, the entire application.
Well,
That's the type,
We've
because
made
we can't,
approvals.
what's that?
We've made approvals in the past subject to these things being
Conditions.
Yes, because I'm the granting authority when they get a CO. I'm not the granting authority when they get a CO. They have approvals through Los Angeles County.
If they want to
So-
get it annexed, they have to, I mean, we still have the bottom line. I mean, they don't have to be annexed, but I think that we shouldn't back down on this one. We've danced into this coming around backwards by coming into the annexation after Love's was annexed, and so I don't feel that they also backed into the sign ordinance, so I think that we ought to stand for the sign.
Can you give us a more detailed explanation of why we would have to accept this or not accept this as is? And I'm sorry, but I'm not fully understanding
Because
why.
I don't have jurisdiction to tell them their building, their sign. If it was utilities, that's different. We do, that's our utilities. Those aren't, if anything outside of that, they already have approval
So
from
if
Los
this
Angeles
isn't
County.
annexed in, do they not get the utilities from the city?
No, we agree to give them utilities. We agreed last year.
So why are we here?
Because we want to annex it as
They
part
want
of
to
the
annex
process.
in.
I understand that, but if it doesn't matter what we say, why are we here? Why am I here on my Tuesday night?
What do you mean?
Like, it doesn't matter what if we approve it or not, it's gonna be done. So why are we here doing this?
He's,
To make a recommendation to city council, so when I go back to city council on April 15th, I could say planning commission made a recommendation. That is why you're here.
But my question is this, we make a recommendation and it doesn't matter what our recommendation is, it's gonna be annexed.
It doesn't mean that. If
So
you
it's-
recommend,
So okay, I guess I'm not entirely sure.
Can
What
I step in really
does-
quick?
go ahead.
Yeah, I think to answer your question is the reason why the annexation is requested is because we are tying on to the city utilities. And that's just the proper format for a property that is to be annexed into the city that ties into the city utilities. Does it have to happen that way? No, but it's a much smoother process, and to not be annexed into the city when we're using your utilities is just a little unorthodox. And so I think the question is why would the city not want to have a property with, especially with a tax base like this that's annexed into the city, that is using their utilities, and so I think that is the question you're seeking after, if I understand properly.
No.
Mr. Spain, are you John Joe? No, if you're not, keep on, bring it forward.
I mean, I think
Can
it's
I-
about taxes, but I still think that no matter what it is, I mean, it's about taxes at the end of the day.
it's about growing our city, yes, and taxes, but yeah, it's about growing our city. This is a big annexation for our city. We're jumping across the highway. That gives a lot of eligibility to other people, which is a really big deal for our city. Continue to grow. It's not
Because it
only
provides
about,
utilities, or why is that such
What's
a
that?
Why is that such a big? I don't mean to sound offensive or argumentative.
No, it's
I'm
not.
curious. Why is that such a big opportunity to grow?
because there's space out there, and there's a chance that we could service an industrial type of, if we're on that side of the highway, industrial type of
Well,
business.
Single.
One additional item that this project is doing for the city is we are bringing culinary water main lines, sewer main lines, gas lines, and all sorts of utilities that are needed for future growth. And so by annexing our property, it's going to allow you to properly annex potentially future developments. Otherwise, there will be a gap in entitlements where it would leave islands and areas of unincorporated parcels that would create some awkward gaps in county versus city properties.
So Maverick's paying for the extension of the utilities out there?
That's correct.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Yeah, we're installing close to 1,000 feet of sewer line, water line, and gas lines, and improving that roadway for. Obviously, I don't know what development is going to be, but we are stubbing it to the property next door to us, so they can tie onto that and use that city infrastructure as with the hope that they get annexed into the city.
Mr. Spain?
Okay, I think I have a third solution. Mr. Hart, is that who is this? He mentioned that he could speak to someone and come up with how they come up with the 70 feet, and if it was necessary for visibility, and if we had any flexibility. And I hear that we're running into issues because we feel like we're being pushed into a decision of yes or no without having all the information that we're requesting, or at least needing to feel good about this. We have an option to table this. If we table this, it can't go forward to the city council until we get that back from him.
Yeah, that's fine. We could always request, and in fairness, we could request that Hunt Day go look back and look and see if they could do a 60-foot sign. We could request it.
So
What
this
I'm
is
saying is
another
I
option for us.
can't go and tell them
I understand
it has
what
to
you're
be
saying.
50. That's
I'm just saying.
that's my because
Well, if we approve the annexation, which everybody, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'm thinking everybody wants it to be annexed.
Right.
What
Yes,
they're
I'm
saying
for this as well.
is if they want to say yes to the annexation with the requirement that the city code is met for the sign, I guess I don't understand why that's a problem.
I really worry we are out overstepping our jurisdiction.
Well, would we have to have a lawyer say that, right? Our lawyer should be able to say that.
we'd have to table it, and then I'd have
That's
to
exactly
talk
right.
to
This is another reason to table it and
Talk to
get
the
more information, find out what
city attorney.
bargaining we do have on the table. I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying that's a third option.
If we table
That's
this,
forced.
that sets them back another month, correct?
No, we're good. They don't go to city council till April 15th, so we
Give
if
them
we
plenty
could
of
get
time
it
to
April
get
8th.
back to us.
Why don't we make our recommendation based on what we want? And then,
I think after that, it's out of our hands.
right,
We don't hear back. It's wrong.
Mr. Hart,
Well, I mean, if we.
Yes.
so do you have any kind of solution to what we're debating up here? Because it all comes down to the sign.
Yeah.
Because here in Trinidad, we have had sign problems and we've kept it at the 55. When the marijuana moved in here, there was a problem with, you couldn't go above your roof pitch. The front of your building, if you went above the front of your building, which several people put signs up, I'm just giving an instance, where several people put signs and they were 4 inches above their face of their building, they had to lower them. So we've always had pretty good stipulations on signs. So I'm just asking you, do you have a solution
Yeah.
that we can work together on?
Yeah, so from what I gather, through the county, we obtained a sign permit for a 70-foot tall sign, and your code has a maximum sign height of 55 feet, and that's the issue, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Nicholas, correct me if I'm wrong, this soon goes to city council for a final vote on the annexation. Is that correct as well?
April 15th.
April 15th?
Yeah, so
So
there's leeway there.
So what if, I mean, I honestly, I can't tell you the way to vote, but I can get off of this call and call YesGo right now and say, hey, we need to do an analysis to verify, what height our sign needs to be for this site to work to make it visible. And they can turn that around with just a couple of days, and we can provide that analysis to you. Obviously, we don't want to be tabled. We'd rather move, but we also don't want to receive a negative recommendation. I don't know if there's a way we can vote to move forward with a positive recommendation, given that an exhibit that shows the height signage be performed. And I want to say yes, we'll do a 55-foot high sign, but honestly, I'm not the sign company, and if they say, hey, it doesn't work coming from the southbound, then I kind of shoot Maverick in the foot, which I don't want to do. But we for sure can provide an exhibit that can show the visibility, show what needs to be done there. Provide that for sure before that April 15th meeting at City Council, and
Come back.
that 100% we can do that study.
Well, we definitely want to work with you. That's why I asked you if you had a solution. Because it comes down to the signage. That's what it comes down to. So we can have a stipulation tonight if the board's, I think we're all for an annexation. I'm talking for myself, but I think up here we're all for, we want to bring stuff into Trinidad. We appreciate what Maverick's doing. But at the same time, somebody else is going to come to us and say, well, somebody's got a 70-foot sign, and your rules in the city of Trinidad and within the city of Trinidad city limits is 55. So if you can help us out in any way,
We have a
I think we're all for it.
We have a meeting before the 15th.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, we can table it and pick it up at our next meeting, and that kind of seems like.
And I wanna.
You want to table the whole
Or we could
annexation?
approve it with the condition.
I'd like to point out as well that it's not only about what'll happen tomorrow, it's about what we've done yesterday. We've upheld this a lot, and we've held this to residents and companies the same, and we've set a standard of sticking very close to it. It's nothing personal to this business. We really want to work with them. It's just, we have to go out and face the citizens, and they know what we've been doing for the last years. We have to, this is just how we've done it. You
So
know?
what I'm gonna ask staff, can we have a motion? I'm just saying, I'm not trying to make a motion.
Yeah.
Would the motion be to let them annex in with the stipulation? With the motion that,
Yes, let me think about this for a second. We could recommend approval with the stipulation, but then it'd be what your stipulation is. You want to see an exhibit, like Mr. Hunt said, saying, this is the minimum we could do, and if he provides that to me, then you guys said, you know, that's, or do you want the stipulation, it's 55?
55.
Okay. If
That's, I'm just asking for it here.
Yeah, we can make that either stipulation saying he gave us either an exhibit saying, do you know what, we looked through it, it has to be 60, that's good, and that, you know, and you guys are okay with that, or if you guys are okay with, no, it's 55 or nothing, and if not, then we'll be back here and I'll have to republish and all that, which is fine.
I just don't want to stop this annexation.
We're not gonna stop it, there's plenty of time. Annexation is very time-based, it's very,
You know, I don't think I have an issue with that. I think if you want to put a recommendation with the stipulation of 55 feet and give a positive recommendation, we'll do, that's great. We will do that analysis. If 55-foot high sign works, awesome, we'll put that in. If it doesn't work, then I'll get on a call, I'll call Nicholas and say, hey, this doesn't work, here's why, let's come back to this meeting.
Okay?
And
that's probably
figure it out then.
that's the best way I can see
Miss-
going
Yeah.
forward.
Ms. Rolo, you want to make that?
Sure.
Go ahead. Okay, Nick.
I'll make the motion to approve the annexation, subject to the sign code for the city of Trinidad be adhered to at 55 feet.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Norris, roll call. Is that kosher for you guys? John?
Yes, sir.
Is that a vote? Is that a roll call?
I'm just waiting for
Nick?
Armijo,
Yes.
Spain,
Yes, sir.
Rolo,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Leone.
Yes. Mr. Hart, do what you can do, please.
Okay, very well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I'll let you guys know whenever I do get it, whatever we get worked out. I'll send it to you guys, that way you guys have it and you can see. They do have a sign, they've already did a big sign study. It was similar to what we saw for Love's. I'll provide that right away because they've already done that work. Yes.
Just out of curiosity, can you tell us what elevation, I'm sure you don't know, Ralph.
I don't.
Yeah.
Where
And then I'll find
elevation
that out.
is gonna be at, with the.
Okay,
setback from the home?
we still gotta go
Oh, I'm
on,
so
guys.
sorry.
Yeah.
We should have done it. There was nobody here for or against it.
Yeah.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Should we have talked about the zoning in that motion?
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Okay,
You recommended approval.
okay. So
So
we didn't have to.
the only stipulation is the 50-foot sign.
Right, but we didn't have to say we approved the
55,
community
yeah.
commercial zoning?
No, you're fine.
No,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, there was nobody here for or against this particular, no. Close the hearing. We voted.
Okay.
We got it.
Okay, moving on.
So,
Chairman's report. I don't have any report. Commissioners' reports.
I think the boulevard was looking really clean today. Most of the people are up toward town. They're not in the addition itself, so it was looking very clean, and that gave me made me happy, sorry.
Mrs. Rowland, how have your spots been that you've looked at? Go ahead.
Really? It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I feel uncomfortable because I'm not 100% positive it's okay for me to talk about it.
It's okay.
But I went through and was taking pictures, and I did send them to the city. There's so much trash and filth, safety issues. Just, people kept saying, well, did you look here? So then I went to another place and looked, and I was like, oh my gosh. It doesn't look good on our community in any way, shape, or form. I was with someone, and there was tourists on the Riverwalk, and it was right there behind the Riverside Salon, or it used to be the
On Commercial, right off the Commercial Street Bridge.
yeah. And tourists are trying to walk their dogs. They were asked where they're from. They're from Texas. But we won't be here long, and that's what they said. I can guarantee you they won't be back. I can guarantee you when they go home to their communities, they're going to say, don't bother stopping in Trinidad, it's filthy and not safe. When all of our tax dollars are going to the parks, the trails, we want to be a tourist community, and that's the best foot we can put forward, it's not acceptable. And I don't know what to ask for or what to say. I know I watched the meeting that they had yesterday, the work session, and I was very, very happy to see that they're planning a camping ordinance. I think it should 100% go through. We have got to take our taxpayers' rights into account as well as the fact that we want to be a tourist community. We can't have this. And also the building codes, the ordinances for keeping your yards, your houses, your trash, your filth picked up. You don't have the right to trash up your house. We have laws on the books, and they don't get enforced. And it's getting really frustrating, especially in my profession. I'm trying to sell Trinidad, and I have to make excuses to the newcomers of why these things are being enforced. And I used to say things like, we're having growing pains, we're working on it. It's gotten to the point where I can't say that anymore. It is a plain and blatant, the city doesn't enforce their ordinances. And I would like them to be enforced. For many reasons, more than what I had just described. I could talk about this for hours, but I'll stop.
Didn't Aaron Williamson at the last city council meeting, he brought up, because the animal enforcement, that you can draw, you've got a very small area that you're talking about that needs cleaning up. It's just from the Commercial Street.
It's bigger than that. I sent pictures. I'll be happy to show them to
Okay,
you. It's
okay.
all over town.
Well,
It is.
okay,
Yeah,
It is.
And it's a river walk from one end to the other. like,
Yeah.
it's-
okay.
it's under our bridges. It's in dilapidated buildings, which is another issue that's not being addressed.
Right now,
Houses that have burned that are not being addressed. And I know there's got to be some compassion. I'm not saying that, but there has to be compassion for the adjacent property owners as well. And there's just a lot of things that seem to be being ignored, and I don't know why.
I'm good.
I actually was going to speak on this subject as well. First thing I wanted to tell y'all was thank y'all very much for all the efforts that y'all put forward already. They're not going unnoticed, and we do appreciate it. But we have to continue to keep advocating for the citizens, for the people who need us here. And that's what we're trying to do. So what I would request is that the city council send us back down a plan of action. Whenever I worked as the streets and parks superintendent, it was my job to know whenever those areas were going to be used mostly, and I was supposed to maintain them and keep them perfect for the citizens, no matter what that meant. Picking up trash, mowing, weed eating, I did it all. And this was done every, nonstop pretty much, but every special event, every weekend. We knew that our taxpayers were going to be out in our parks, and it was time to make those places good for them. I don't understand why that doesn't seem to occur here. It seems to me like it would be a very simple thing to have the city council set up a plan that every other Friday is cleanup Friday, where the camps are emptied out, and we have a set schedule. This is what happens on Friday. I don't want it to happen whenever or at anyone's discretion. I want to see the dates. And I want to see that our police officers are going to just focus on one area. They don't have to clean the whole city. But on this Friday, we are going to make this place better for our citizens. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to. I think every Friday this should be able to be accomplished, but every other Friday, or at least once a month, ought to be.
Once a
something
month,
we
it
could
is
tackle easily.
It is being picked up once a month. There's a cleanup crew that goes down once a month, and like the haul was pretty substantial this last time. It went down to almost nothing. I mean, there was a good time in the time that I've been here in the river. So
It just seems to me like if you take away what's happening and then it just gets given back and collected again and take it away and give, the answer is not to sustain, but the answer is to increase the amount of times we take it away until they move. I have heart. I am compassionate. I feel terrible. No one should ever experience what these people are going through. But that does not give them the right to get around our laws. Nobody would let me go down there and camp. If I took my camping stuff and went down there beside the river just trying to fish, it would not be allowed. And that's not fair.
Just to clarify, you were talking about a group of volunteers, not people from.
there
the
was a
city.
group of volunteers.
Right.
That is
No,
correct.
I'm talking about
40
cops.
Right, but he's talking about a group of
Right.
volunteers that are actually doing this, like 40 strong, I believe, last time.
Yeah,
Like, so it's a, it's a nice.
I understand that.
it
But I'm talking
helps,
about
but
city
you need
effort.
more than that.
Yes.
Me too, I just want to clarify, it's volunteers, it's not the city.
It was volunteers and it was not the
point.
city. But although
But
the
it's
city
from-
has put, they did the big equipment down there because
You had to.
because they've cleaned it up
Yeah.
from where it was. But I mean, when you have 4 or 5 people,
And if the laws on the
Live it up
books
there.
were being enforced as they stand right now, we wouldn't have this problem.
I agree.
We're a home rule town. That's why we're a home rule town.
That's right.
Pueblo's cleaned up a
That's
lot.
exactly right.
That's why we're a home rule town. And it comes down to
We don't
just what
follow
Mrs. Roloff said, Mr. Norris, John, Mr. Spain, it's enforcement. It comes down to, right now, if you want to go outside now, walk over by the train, there's a tent right in the middle of the river.
yeah.
And last week, I had some relatives in, and we went to McDonald's, and we came back through. So there was where the city they had a fire underneath the bridge, and they already had a ruptured line there because the line caught fire. I came and got Mr. Valentine, told him you better go over there because there's a fire underneath there. They had a complete fire pit. But nobody goes over there. You could see the smoke coming out.
Under the bridge. Did we learn something about that down in Dallas?
That's a city hazard.
It is.
What about there's a gas line there? They do something to the gas line and have a leak in it. You'll have that whole area blowed up. I know you've got a lot to do, Nick, but you gotta bring something to the city, what we're saying too.
Bring us back a plan. Bring us back a
Some,
plan.
and I know they're working on it, like Mrs. Rollo said, she wants the meeting.
Yeah, it was a real, they're on YouTube, you can watch yesterday's meeting. I watched it today. It was very, very good. And I'm hoping that we all show up to city council meetings, not as a board, I mean, as a private citizen, to say, please do something, the city council meetings that I attend, nobody's there. Nobody from the community comes. So it's like, if they started coming, because they talk to all of us, we're out working and doing our thing, and we hear it, but they're not showing up. They need to show up and tell city council how they feel. Whether we
This is true.
can get that to happen or not, I don't know.
Is there
Well, maybe if we
police
keep
chief-
on bringing it forward from
That's it.
us up here, we're volunteers.
Sustained
I
effort.
mean, they can throw us off anytime they want. We spend a lot of time,
Yes.
and we're trying to sell Trinidad, she's trying to sell Trinidad.
Yeah.
We're all trying to sell Trinidad.
Mhm.
We got a new city manager.
Mhm. Gonna do great.
She's gonna have to sell Trinidad.
Yep.
And so I think everybody's working for one conclusion,
Mm.
but in the middle of this is different things that's happening, so it goes this way, it goes that way.
Yeah.
Is not having a police chief?
Oh,
Is
that's
that
coming
part
up
of it?
next.
Is that
They're gonna
part of it, or?
Nope, yep, they're gonna be bringing that up. That's gonna be one of the first things this new city manager has to do. But anyway, Nick, anything else you want?
Yeah, so they had like 14 applicants for the police chief, I believe, 14 I think it was. So
Okay.
they're gonna wait for the new city manager to be on before they make that final hire, because that is actually the city manager's job.
Right.
Mhm.
Feels inappropriate to have the interim city manager hire someone and then
Right,
get
right.
handed off right away. Me personally, in the development services, we are working very hard on the vacant properties. So we've been looking at beefing up that code to help get these properties, get them moving into a positive direction, not just falling apart before they start to fall apart. So
Right.
we've been really gearing up on that to get some vacant property, either, and just motivation to these property owners that you can't just buy a house, even though you've never seen it, and you live in California, and it's falling down now, and I can't get a hold of you because you don't even come to Colorado. It's very, very frustrating, very hard. But we're trying to get some teeth in that so we can make them pay attention to us. And then, as far as the dilapidation, we have some plans to knock down hopefully a handful of houses here shortly, and we just have to bite the bullet. And we give property owners, because it's their property, we give them every chance they can to either fix the issue or knock it down themselves. A lot of we prefer to knock it down themselves because it's their cost, it's their property. But a lot of these we can't do this anymore. We can't wait. So it's going to be a focus on my development services team to continue to work through and hopefully knock down a handful of houses and get things, at least get other people's attention too, that we send you these letters not just for the fun of it, that we will actually do something. So
Because didn't we just have a fire this last week?
we had a fire on Friday. Yes, I've been it's eating up all my time. So
In the neighborhood?
it's
It was
not
in a
easy.
vacant house.
Yeah, that
That
house
was
been
a
vacant
problem.
before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and see that situation was it was difficult because it was foreclosed on. So I'm not even calling. I'm sending letters to a mortgage company in Dallas, Texas, with a PO box, and they don't care at all. So getting these people to care because they have a stake in making them have to care is what we're trying to do.
Right.
Because it's just not working the way we've been trying to do it right now.
I think that was brought to us before, that same house.
What
Yeah.
is the abatement process once a house becomes a nuisance and we can just
So once
tear
it's a
it down?
nuisance, we can abate. So we can. The process is hard and it's expensive because I have to do asbestos testing,
Mhm.
which is very expensive. Then I have to do asbestos abatement if it has asbestos, which is even more expensive. So we're running down $20,000, and I haven't even knocked a nail off the
I
door.
understand.
And then if the abatement is that bad, in some cases it's the entire property because everything has a little bit of asbestos on it. For example, like a house that's been on fire. Now the entire soil has all been contaminated. I don't know, has been touched with asbestos. So now the entire place has to be cleaned by an asbestos abatement company, and that could run extremely expensive. So it is hard to pick and choose because, I mean, I hear you guys. We have a huge list, and it has an extravagant amount of houses, commercial buildings as well. So we do have a plan to hopefully get some traction on. I want to knock down one commercial building and then 2 residential houses, one of them being the one that was burned.
So once you knock out a building, does the property owner
Oh,
keep that
that's about
property?
that.
Does the
We'll put a lien on
I
it,
can't do it myself.
but the problem is the lien is going to be more than the property's worth.
And there's no way for the city to seize that property and maybe sell it to regain some recoupment?
We're still working through on how we get recouped and if we can end up, my big thing too is I'm trying to get these property owners to just donate it to the city, in which case I am the property owner, or the city's property owner. Now I can even apply for grants and stuff like that. But if I'm not the property owner, if I'm knocking down other people's property, they don't give you money for that.
Okay.
So we're exploring everything we can because it's taken me a while. I'm 18 months in this job.
Right. I
I'm
got
still
you.
trying to get my feet under me a bit, but I've had enough. So
That's awesome.
Mr. Spain.
Okay,
Good.
I very much appreciate everything you're doing.
Mhm.
Don't slow down. You're amazing.
yeah,
I don't want to give you the wrong impression that I'm whooping on you or anything. I think you're awesome. Don't stop. Please, we need your help. Okay?
For years they've-
Now I need to ask you about, I need to tell you about the town that I come from. Because what happened is the entire downtown got bought by a single owner who ended up putting old furniture in it and it all fell down. And we fought this same battle. We fought this same battle for almost my entire life. I went away in the military and came back home to these same buildings, but not having a roof on them in our downtown and our entire downtown being gone. And eventually we had to plant our feet and take these buildings out.
Yeah.
It's just, you are walking to the end of the plank, whether you understand it or not. I know what you're facing is tough, but the dead end is still there. It's still gonna dilapidate, and eventually you just gotta plant your feet, take that cost on, and man, rent one of them big excavators by the hour and just get you a whole bunch of trash bins and throw them in as you walk down the road.
Yeah, I wish it was simple. I wish it was, but it's asbestos. It's
Yep.
and there's so many steps to make sure we do it right. But
I agree with that.
'Cause
I'd also like to bring up the Frontier. I noticed that it was moving forward.
Yeah.
I myself think that it's been amazing difference. I don't know how the others feel, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about how that project is.
Yeah,
Moving forward.
that project's still, they're still waiting on their permitting from CDOT. As you can tell, it's not easy to get.
Right.
That's why Maverick they did a really good job. They had to jump through a lot of hoops for their CDOT permit. So Circle K is jumping through the hoops right now. Their back and forth is getting really. Me being in this position, you can tell when people's back and forth gets really close, days instead of months.
Right.
They're getting close to finally getting it. So they're within a couple days of each other responding, which is nice. Meaning there's fewer and fewer issues with their development. So hopefully we could get some development on that property because the demolition of it was fantastic, but it'd be really nice to see some more development.
I would intervene with that. You're talking about asbestos. That was a tremendous amount of money there.
There was a lot of money in asbestos in that building as well.
Probably over, I don't know. The first number I heard was over 250, then they had to come back.
Yeah, that's all. I wouldn't.
Had to come back.
I wouldn't disagree with you. It's a big building, and it's hard because the building is constructed at the peak time of asbestos, so it's in the window caulking, it's in the shingles, it's anything that was wrapped with any pipe had asbestos wrapped in it because it needed insulation. It had the ceiling had insulation.
Yes.
The ceiling insulation had asbestos as well. It was extravagant amount of asbestos. Yeah, it's.
Sounds like
It's an
we
old
need to
town,
set the
sorry.
precedent to just
We live in an old
say
town.
There's asbestos and just work from that, man, we can save $20 worth of testing, or
Okay.
$20,000.
We have some grants, but they're slowly running out, and we need to continue to look at grants. So I have a good relationship with CPG, which is nice because
I would say
It's a
that
state requirement.
your city manager worked for DOLA.
Yeah.
that's correct.
She knows exactly what to do for the grants. You know what I mean? I think that's a plus.
Yeah, hopefully
That's a
hopefully they
plus.
can help us.
And then I'm gonna, now you're gonna, maybe out of order, but we were talking about you brought it up about the police chief.
Mhm.
So there's gonna be the intern city manager and a permanent city manager. Are they gonna
I don't know.
work
if the-
together on that, or?
I don't know if the interim's gonna. I don't know how much he's gonna be involved with the police chief because it's a city manager hire.
Right.
So it's probably best that
I
the
just
city
want-
manager
just
do
ask
the
that question.
do the vetting on that. Like I said, there's 14 I think applicants, which is great. So hopefully they get some really good.
Anything else? Commissioners? Staff?
No.
Commissioners? Okay. Nothing else? Public hearing is over. Staff?
We close.
And let's go with the recommendation to end the meeting.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we close.
I second it.
Motion made, second, roll call.
Armijo,
Yes.
Spain,
Yes, sir.
Rolo,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Leone.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, all the commissioners for tonight.